Hey, it's Anthony and Tucker with Land Title. We just wanted to bring you our lender update for the month of January. And we have lots going on here in the data, so let's just get right into it. Tucker, what is going on?
So this is a good sign right now as we see our under contracts are picking up. So that is a really good sign. It's showing that January is picking up, that traditional seasonality is playing out, which is really what we're kind of banking on right now is a lot of those traditional, market shifts, that already happened. Now we're kind of going, hey, let's have the traditional market ramp up. Inventory will start coming on in here the next month or two. And we'll really be kind of off to the races here for the springtime. We know that rates have really made an impact, so we just want to get clear the air with that. We understand rates have been very volatile the last few weeks, and I know that really does affect the buyers, but we are in a good spot with under contracts are rising, and inventory does show a decline for January a little bit because things are starting to go under, but we should see that kind of flipping the switch here come February stats.
All right, so let's take a look at the supply line here. And one thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was just how all markets are not created equal, right? Because places like the city of Boulder, even though they're up in inventory year over year by like 90%, it's really different than somewhere else. Like if you go out to Longmont at 400% increase in inventory, right? Because one, markets like Boulder are so much more resilient, right? Price point wise, if people don't like the price they're getting, they just don't sell. They don't have to. They might get divorced and not have to sell the house, right? Like it's very different than some of those other outerlying markets. So when you see people who like have a kid and have to move because they need an extra bedroom, you don't generally experience that in these more affluent, higher price point markets. And so what that's going to do is it's going to create less listings going onto the market, right? We see this in history. So we see less listings coming on the market in these higher price point areas during these times where, well, there's a lot of economic uncertainty and
And
money's expensive.
this is exactly true. If we just look at the year over year change, Anthony, if you want to just slide to your left a little bit, or yep, to your right, either one, you can really see where the areas who've had the most increase in the year over year change. It just shows how short we were on inventory last year. We still don't have a ton of inventory. I mean, we're sitting just about what 100 active for all of Boulder County. That's not, excuse me, my eyes are terrible. 500. My eyes out of my glasses on. Sorry. So
Yeah.
we're sitting at 500 active for Boulder County, and we have these amazing numbers year over year. It just shows how bad it was last year. So even though those rates suck, this year we can say, hey, you can actually pick out a house right now with your clients.
That's right. This is a good one here. This shows us our month supply of inventory. So we went from zero point 0.4 months of inventory, which is less than 2 weeks, right? Now we're at 1.4 months of inventory, which it's a 200% change, right? You want to scare people about inventory. That's the way to do it. But like in all reality, we have less than 6 weeks of inventory to look at. It means there's enough to shop, but it's still a seller's market, right? The one thing you have to remember is if you're working with listings, you're working with listing agents, and then they're buying on the other end, right? So as these people have to sell their house before they buy, they're in a really good, unique position to do that. So when you're helping those buyers qualify, you have to remember that it isn't going to be as hard to sell as it might have been in the past. Do they need to price aggressively? Of course they do. But as a buyer, they should go out and shop and get their feet wet and figure out what they want to do, and then go list their house when they're getting closer to that point.
So what I like about this is let's look all the way to the left side of the graph here and look at that 2.3 months of inventory, and we're now at 1.4, right?
That was pre-pandemic.
That was pre-pandemic. We are still very short on inventory. So for your listing agents, it's a good time for them. For the buyers, hey, while there is more in your favor than it was last year, it's still not a complete buyer's market. You still want to be getting out there early, seeing the houses you like, because a good product and the well-priced inventory is moving fast. So you still want to be out there in the market being active. You can't sit back like you did in December and kind of wait for things to kind of come to you, or even in November. You really need to be aggressive out there and going out and finding what you like because other people are doing the same.
All right, so when we get to buyer behavior, this is our days in MLS. Days in MLS is the highest right now, and it always is every year in December, January. 52 days in MLS, so it was pretty slow. But here we are talking about this in February, and it's going to speed up very, very quick. So look at a year like 2021. It's a good example because it was a pretty normalized year as far as like seasonality wise, right? Even though we had all kinds of other anomalies, the buyers tend to pick up speed closer to May or June. So every month it's going to get faster and faster and faster. So you need to remind your buyers if they want to shop, they do need to get out there and really dial into this before there's a huge surge of inventory, a huge surge of buyers, and then the whole summer they're just kind of chasing their tail, right?
Yep.
We don't want that.
And now let's also look into our submarkets a little bit. We can see certain areas are a lot harder than others. So this is great information for your buyers out there who are shopping in a particular area. Hey, if we're looking out in Lafayette, Louisville, okay, what's going on in Louisville? There's a couple of them that are sitting out there. That's why it's showing so high. But
Yeah.
overall, the rest of the market's moving a lot faster when we look at the data and pull those out. Same with Boulder. It's moving faster than the rest of the market. What's not moving as fast is Superior. Actually, they're actually back in line for the first time.
Yeah,
About
not a
month
lot in
away
Louisville
from.
showed a bunch of homes where like there was a couple of anomaly houses that sat on the market for a year. They sold. There just wasn't a ton of sales. Erie actually is finally to the point where it's slowed down, and I think we had so many sales taking place because they finally had inventory that now we're starting to see there's actually inventory in the market. We could take our time and shop. Um, Lafayette, I don't understand. Ever since the fires, I shouldn't say I don't understand. It's just amazing to me because ever since the fires, Lafayette has like reaped the benefits of just all of this added buyer activity, right? They still don't have a ton of inventory. The market's still moving super fast. Tons of people that lived in Louisville or Superior moved out to Lafayette. Granted, it's a cool place, don't get me wrong.
Right, like,
But it's just it never did this pre-fires.
and normally it was drive-through qualified, but in certain areas it's more competitive out in Lafayette and even a lot of neighborhoods of
Or even
Louisville,
Erie, right?
even Erie, than it was traditionally, and that's because the neighborhoods are coming together, the downtowns are coming back to life.
Yeah, it's really
So
cool.
great little area to look in. Superior, they have that bunch of construction downtown. And once that is done, we should expect to see Superior kind of have the same market forces as
That'd be
Louisville and
great.
Lafayette.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Superior's big thing is that they just don't have as much to do as Louisville, right? Most people in Superior drive over to Louisville or something like
The
that.
downtown's
There's a
still
lot of commercial going in, and that's going to be a hopping area soon.
yeah, and they got the Costco.
Well, and everybody shops.
Matter.
They get all the tax revenue.
Let's just start at the top here, and this is our active by price range and sold by price range. Let's look at the upper right. Luxury's still doing great. Okay, 5 3+ million sales in January. The upper end of the market's still really moving forward.
I mean, we're only down one sale at the beginning of the year. I think this is a good sign because last year, I mean, 3% to 7% interest rates. Obviously, the high-end luxury that's mostly cash doesn't really care about that. And the other thing you got to remember is we've been seeing a lot of deals that don't even hit the MLS, like these 10, 13, $11 million homes. A lot of them are removed so that their data isn't even in our data. I mean, people will literally like remove them from the MLS instead of mark them sold. Or they may not even market them on the MLS or going off market. So there's a lot going on in that ultra high end that's probably worth a conversation if you guys want to reach out to us. You're specifically doing something there, but probably not because, like I said, it's mostly cash.
And then let's look really at our meat and potatoes for the city of Boulder. That's going to be that 1 to 1.5 million. Still good numbers there. And then as we dive down into the rest of the county, we're still seeing really good sold data. And we're also seeing where the kind of discrepancies are. Hey, where do we have extra inventory? Where do we have not? And we can kind of see
5 to 600,000 right now.
exactly.
They're getting crushed. 70% down and under contracts. Active units really aren't up that much either. People have really pulled back. I think you're going to see a lot of this change coming in springtime.
And that's because those folks are way more rate sensitive. While all of Boulder County is rate sensitive, other folks can make those longer term. Have a little more cash on side. So let's look at our month supply of inventory, days on market. Days on market by price range is great if you have buyers in specific areas. You can really see that, under 500,000, it's moving fast market out there. Same with our month supply of inventory. But as you look over on the left-hand side, under that 2 million, we still have a really fast market for the amount of buyer
We
demand
just don't
out there.
have enough inventory.
And we're going to be in this issue for a long time. So
We're not building our way out of it. It's not like people are mass exodus in Colorado, right? So I think we're just going to be in one of those unique positions where this is going to be a short-lived window for your buyers, right? So get them out there and shop because they're just not going to get inventory anytime in any other year, right?
Even with the tougher
we could be
rates,
right back to where we were.
even with the tougher rates, when those rates drop, we can expect to see appreciation just jump through the roof, which will then price a lot of people out. So right now, folks have that ability to stomach the monthly payment. Now's the time to get them in because you can see that we're just, even in this higher inventory environment that we're going into, we're still really fast market on our month supply of inventory. Remember, about 4 months is balanced here in the front range, 6 months nationally. So we are super off where the average norm is for a balanced market. So we're just not even close to that, even with the slowdown in the market that we felt.
All right, well, let's get over to a couple of things. We're going to skip the solds. Should we talk average sales price?
Yeah, let's talk average sales price. Let's do detached.
I can't get back there. Sorry.
Okay, we're going to keep going. The average sold, big thing to notice is we're going to see that sales price really creeping up. And if you have clients worried about, hey, if I buy a house, is the market going to keep sliding? As long as they're not moving out in 6 months, they're fine. Always look at that
The
TPM
detached market
change.
really started to make a correction. I wish we wouldn't have skipped that slide. Sorry about that. But basically, good news in the attached, the average sales price, right? Into January, we really saw some improvements. You didn't see very many attached product. That's why this one looks like it does. And it's all over the place because, there was times where we had, 5 or 10 $1.5 million ones sell in the city of Boulder. It's totally skews the average. So read into this one a little less. Okay, one thing that's going to happen quick, I want to touch on this slide before we get to the last one, is the first 2 quarters of this year, right? We're at high interest rates. We're going to never even come close to the sales we had last year. So prep yourself for Q1 and Q2, but I do have really good news for you for Q3 and Q4. Q4, we were crippled last year, right? People just shut it off. They didn't know what to do. I think we're going to outperform Q4, right? This is an outlandish prediction, but this is what we do once in a while just for fun. I mean, we're 10 minutes in the video. Nobody's probably watching anyway. So, but by Q3, I think we're probably going to be right around where we were last year. The market's going to pick up some speed towards the end of the year. And in Q4, I mean.
And so this is where you can, how do you want to be using this? Play this into your folks and say, hey, if you don't want to make the plunge right now in Q1, Q2, which we recommend, because, right, we all know, get in while you can.
Absolutely.
And then the appreciation long-term always plays out. But this is where all of us, that pie is going to be a lot smaller right now. We can just see where those gray bars are from last year.
Yeah.
Our pie got smaller, so we have more competition for that pie. So amongst us in the business side, hey, kind of keep that in mind. Q1 might be slow, Q2 might be slow, but hey, keep with it and keep in touch with those folks.
Low, right? But we had 200 solds last month instead of 3, right?
Lower than last year.
We're going to probably be somewhere around 300 to 400 sales instead of where we were closer to 500 sales, right? Like it will be slower. It's just there's still a lot of homes out there, right? Like this is the thing you have to remember too, is as a lender, you're trying to get a piece of what's going on. Well, if we adjust by a third, which is really what we've been adjusting by, it won't stay that way for that long, right? As soon as interest rates start to come back, you're going to increase that buyer appetite. The market won't be 2/3 of what it was a year ago, right? We're going to start to see that increase. I really was shocked to see the under contract numbers at minus 20%. I figured they'd be minus 30% or so like we saw in October, November, December. So that's a good sign that buyers are out there shopping. February, though, it is going to be worse than the January data. And I only say that because weather got in the way, rates got in the way. Like March is going to be off to the races probably, assuming rates start to ease up a little bit. Because if we go to 7 or more, we're in real trouble. But you are going to see increase in behavior. And this happens a lot, right? There's a lot of years where February is actually slower.
So
it's not
and it's also a shorter month, so we just don't get as much.
Exactly.
We're weekend shorter than usual. But let's skip to our last slides.
Right here.
And this is our favorite. So we're going to do detach and attach. This right here is really telling us what's the competition level out there. And this is for the most recent price in the MLS to what it's sold at. Doesn't include concessions. So this is our percent sold list price. And this is showing right now is the opportunity. If buyers are on the fence going, oh, I just don't know what's going to happen. Show them this and all these different price ranges. I mean, we're down to 97%. We were at 108 come last year around Q1, beginning of Q2. Right? It just shows how much we've shifted, 10% difference. And that's not even including all the concessions. So what we really want to look at is, yeah, maybe the rates suck right now, but you can actually get into a house at or under contract price or at asking price. You haven't been able to do that. And once the rates drop, we're going to be back to those, 100K, 200K over askings.
Expect this to trend towards that full asking price by the middle of the summer, right? Or by May. That's just pretty normal seasonality, and expect it to trend back down in the fall. But depending on how fast rates come down in the fall, it could be a year like 2020 where you just kind of see a plateau. I mean, in an ideal environment for all of us, we would love to see rates like 5, 5.5 by the end of the year. If we trend from, let's just call it 7 now, and then we slowly trend down, we're going to see like a rise all the way through May, June, and then we're going to see it kind of plateau off and maybe slow down a little bit by the end of the year. Yeah. So think 2020.
Think 2020. And then also think this is the time, this is your opportunity. Don't wait for that window to shut where everyone got priced out, 2020, 2021. Even
we could easily be back to the races, right?
It's all dependent on rates. So get it while you can.
Thanks for joining us today, everybody. Anthony and Type Earthland Title. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. See you next time.
Take care, everybody.